Okay, so we've been wondering ever since the chapter 5 weird route what's been under the lake and what's going to happen next in the chapter 7 weird route, since it apparently seems like the snow grave route is skipping chapter 6. But first we need to answer what is actually under the lake, and vice versa, maybe even hometown itself. So when you're walking into the lake with Chris and Noelle, you do notice that each level you get underwater, the more and more Noelle's sprite gets darker, meaning she's getting more submerged. Her sprites keep getting more and more blurry and submerged until the final proceed. After that, right before it cuts to chapter 7 side B, it shows Noelle's face completely normal, no submersion and no water. It shows her face being lighted up or illuminated from the bottom. And I think we all have made enough connections to know that this is the soul. Chapter 4 taught us that the more dark or the intensity of the darkness can trigger a soul's glow like that, which is why the soul tends to glow a bright beam when we're closing a dark fountain, which is literally the culmination of darkness. Now, even though we have all this, I can't confidently say what kind of dark world it's gonna be, since yes, it is a dark world because the soul only really does this when it's around intense darkness. I lean more to the side that it's gonna be more like maybe a mix between a lab and a cult like dark world, if I'm being honest, or graveyard like. And you're gonna see that when I explain who I all think are involved with it. At the beginning of the game, you notice that when you go to the lake and stand idle for a long time, Onion-san appears. He tells you in chapter 1 he hears a song or across the lake. It's somewhere around the lake or in it. I don't know which specific chapter it was, but he does tell you to come back. Every chapter he tells you to come back, all of a sudden he just disappears. Now, this is where normal NPC comes in and Clam Guy. Here's the disappearance. When you go back there to the lake shore, you notice normal NPC is there. Dialogue is really abnormal, like the dialogue of somebody for their life. Normal route of chapter 5, during the festival, when you go to the normal NPC's stand where he's selling those balls, he quotes that it tastes like onion. Pretty sure you already know where I'm going with this though. Iced onion theory. I definitely think that there is a cult going around hometown. Of course, the normal NPC isn't the only one involved. Since he does his last words, the cult members got together and killed him. It confused you because don't monsters turn to dust once they die? Actually, that was never really confirmed for Deltarune yet, but in case that they even do, they can't just chop one of his nose off so that he doesn't die immediately. That, or they used his dust, normal NPC used his dust, onion powder. Sign, bro. Bro just knew too much. This cult, one responsible dark world that's under hometown. We have who's all involved covered. What are they actively trying to do? I haven't really solved what they could be planning yet, because Deltarune, and I doubt we can really or perfectly accurately predict something like that. Have a few goals make sense that they would have. First is that Chris is a goner. Like a strong indicator is that at the beginning of chapter 5, when he climbs back into the house, soul back in, and goes from being a more gray of his original tone back to Chris's normal tone of skin color. Actually do see an example of this in Undertale. Clam Girl tends to be NPC turning into a goner and disappearing. Do you see where I'm going with this? Let me explain. Basically, I'd say one of the cult's goals was to create prophecy. I didn't say worshipping, I'd say more working with Gaster, also proving that the vessel was not just thrown away at the beginning of the game, so that more colored in and given actual life by the people and life around it. Yay, Chris. Once you think about it, this actually kind of works into the cults, since it kind of makes sense that if they want the prophecy to proceed, they would need to trick Chris into at least believing they were human. Living what seemed like a normal life is probably the best that would help them in hometown. I do want to point out something in chapter 3. In the secret chapter 3 minigame is the area right before the door, lock the door, gets used up. Shortly after that, it gets used up. Oh, my first point, we do kill more. He's in that mini game past that point after Chris and Noel get used up. Might be far-fetched. This is where Chris and Noel will end up get from under the lake. And the NPCs that the 3 mini game shows are actually I'd say maybe the mix between the dead people in the graveyard. They're gonna be similar to Gerson basically, though they're either gonna be similar to Gerson or they're gonna be like corpse-like darkeners, since we don't really know whether monsters in Deltarune still really turn to dust or not. My second point is still actively trying to make vessels. Now, saying that Chris, I'd say kind of fulfilling the prophecy already by working with the Knight, or maybe undying and capturing hometown residents to quote-unquote sacrifice, like Carol said in the phone call with Chris. Say that somehow, some way has ties to creating a goner. Maybe by sacrifice they mean honorify the resident, as in like data. Basically, they erase all the memories, basically leaving no individual inside the body, leaving it as just a vessel. Heck, I wouldn't even put it far out there that after the Dark World under Hometown, you move on to actually killing the residents of Castletown too. Now, you're gonna kind of be confused about this, since I did state that Chris and Noel were used up in the chapter 3 minigame, but here's the thing, I don't think they mean used up as in like dead. I'd say used up as in like maybe their power, or maybe fell unconscious temporarily. I'd say when Chris gets used up too, I'd say that represents him reverting to his more gray vessel like form though. And yeah, that's pretty much the theory, at least for right now. Though, if y'all have any criticisms or things you want to add on or say, please put it in the comments.